live in the dungeon. This is the Dream Warrior Review. I'm Kurt Thomas.
I'm Mick Strawn.
Okay, we're doing the Wolfman 1941. 1941. Directed by George Wagner.
So was this an extension of the Universal horror franchise?
Yeah.
10 years later.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
A practical man returns to the... Let me try again.
Start that again.
A practical man returns to his homeland, and he's attacked by a creature of folklore and infected with a horrific disease.
His disciplined mind tells him it cannot possibly exist.
Right.
Well, yeah, there you go. Okay.
Did you know that Boris Karloff apparently he really wanted to be the lead role?
Yes, he did. But he and Bela Lugosi and Lon Chaney Jr. Were competing for roles constantly.
Do you think they screwed up though? Because
I think they did because personally, I think that Lon Chaney was a really poor choice for this. Did you know Bela Lugosi had a role in this?
Yeah, he ended up in a secondary role.
Yeah, it was like he was the gypsy, and it's because he had the heavy accent, you know.
Yeah. But the lady was awesome.
The lady was really good. Yeah, she was. She had a very strange look. I mean, even a little bit odd for a gypsy look, you know. I don't know what that facial feature is.
But so the cast, I mean, I thought the cast was good, actually. I thought. Weren't they kind of the superstars of the day? Like,
you know,
Claude Rains.
Claude Rains, Bellamy. Wasn't Bellamy in there? Let's see. Ralph Bellamy. This was the cast of this was so far above the Frankenstein cast, but I have a feeling that there was something about. It was odd that they had the cast that it did.
Right.
But I think what they were trying to do is surround Lon Chaney Jr. with a...
Right.
Because I could totally understand why they had Lon Chaney Jr. in the role, is because he was coming off of his father's... his father was a very famous Phantom of the Opera, and was very well known for doing his own makeup. And I think that they were trying to ride on the coattails of his success. And I think that he had done a couple of things more recently with them that were kind of horror related. Why don't you just check that out real quick?
That's a great picture.
It is a really good picture. The thing is that I think that they were trying to surround him with, of Mice and Men. Yeah. Now that would seem like the role for him of Mice and Men, right?
Oh, totally. Yeah.
But I don't think that he had done that many horror films, and he certainly hadn't led that many things. No. And I think that they were trying to put a cast around him that would.
Well, it was for Boris Karloff to play the...
Right, and that makes a lot more sense. Yeah. It really does.
So I wish I had a documentary to find out the back behind the scenes of those...
Oh, I've got it. I've got a documentary on it.
I'd like to see that.
I didn't get really time to get into it.
So this kind of started his career in horror, because later on, he did like mummy movies and stuff.
Oh, yeah. No, he Dracula. Stayed in. But the thing is I always thought that his acting was subpar too. Yeah. Bela Lugosi and
totally.
And Boris Karloff.
So I thought the sets were great, and the fog was amazing.
Great. Yeah, and you know what? I wanted to point out something I thought that was really interesting. We're looking back at these 40s films and 30s films. Now, not the 30s films so much, but we've been talking kind of about the evolution of cameras and lenses and stuff like that.
I was going to bring up technology.
Now, the technology had changed, and cameras had changed drastically. The for instance, the film plane has now got a backing plate, and it's very the mechanism is much tighter, and so you're not doing this shake constant shaking around as much.
And the sound is much clearer too.
And the sound is clearer.
Yeah. I think my feeling of watching this was it was almost too clean and too.
It was incredibly
and the
clean.
sound was too perfect.
Really
it's
well done.
It's not as creepy that way, you know.
Right there,
that makes any sense. I don't know.
Yeah, it's funny. It's almost like the flickering is an affectation that really affects how you see Frankenstein.
Well, it's like you
and
mentioned,
Dracula.
We were watching The Conjuring,
right?
And you were talking about how bright it was and how it took away from the horror of it.
Right. So
this is how I felt about this one.
Right. It was super clear and super clean. And I also want to say this is that the way that emulsions work. Film emulsions work.
Yeah, emulsions. Yeah.
And this is just really simple, but the black and white films were thinner than the later color films, and they tended to be crisper. And this was the time. Just about this time is when safety film came in, but the nitrate films.
Right.
Were incredibly crisp and incredibly clean and incredibly clear. And I think that might have been a nitrate original print, silver nitrate.
Yeah.
And the clarity.
Yeah, it was really clear.
It's just
it
amazing.
Actually blew me away. I'm like, it's a little too clean.
Like, yeah, right. It is a little too clean. And the thing is a lot of the technology that drove film at this point was also the technology that was driving the war machine at this point.
Well, this was released 2 days after Pearl Harbor attack.
Yeah. So and our military technology had been coming up and up and up,
right, yeah.
At a incredible rate. I mean, it was so speedy right in there that the technology of how we looked at things and how lenses were going together is because we knew we had reconnaissance coming up, and that sort of thing.
Well, there's two things that drive technology.
Yeah,
military and porn. There's a lot of the early movies.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So which one was this?
I had a teacher in school that was always talking about, she wanted to start, she was working with the dean to try to start her own sexuality in cinema class.
Right.
And she was going to start with the early days because some of the earliest movies were porn movies.
Right, exactly.
But I was like, I don't know if I'd be comfortable taking a class at school and sitting there with my peers and my teacher watching this.
Why?
Anyway, so... But she was a woman that was a little out there. She was from Sweden, and I took a French cinema class from her, and I loved her to death. But I was like, I can't sit here and watch that with you guys.
Sorry,
but I transferred to Tennessee at that point. So
anyway. There you go.
But anyway, there really wasn't I felt like there was no monster in this movie, and why did they waste their time putting makeup on?
Yeah.
It just seemed like it wasn't a
monster
monster
movie.
It was a Jekyll and Hyde movie.
No, you're right.
This was Jekyll and Hyde.
No, you're absolutely right. It was a very
and it was more of a I don't know, satanic or pagan. It was like it wasn't really a werewolf.
You know what it was? It was
because the pentagram and stuff. Yeah, it was. I don't know.
But it was kind of what are they called? Atmosphere piece,
right?
Because there's a lot of fog and it was all done on a set.
And this wasn't the first werewolf movie. And I've got to see this one. Werewolf of London, 1935.
Oh, really?
I haven't seen it.
Oh, we have to check that out.
Because I did some research. I was like, is this the first werewolf movie? I was like, 1935.
See, I thought it would have been more interesting, and it kind of seemed like it at the beginning if Jenny had been her lover.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Oh, I'm just telling you that would.
Did you not think that the attic was a little big for this? It was a massive attic.
But I have to say, I thought the antique shop was really well done. I mean, as far as the look of it and the fact that you're always looking, it was very 3-dimensional because you're always looking through across a foreground piece. And then he walked around it. And he walked around it, and you could never really tell where you were, but it always looked fascinating. No, I thought that was really cool.
And the exchange rate was $3 wait, what was it? $15? 3 pounds. $15. That's quite an exchange rate.
Yeah.
Is that how it was back then?
I don't know.
That's freaking insane to me.
Well, And you notice that he was just an engineer, that his last job was working on Mount Wilson.
Yeah, for 18 years.
Yeah, but the Mount Wilson Observatory in L.A.
Yeah,
I thought that was cool. I was like, oh, well, shout out to my Griffith Park peeps. Hey.
Oh boy! And the castle wasn't very scary. Like if you look at the Dracula castles of like the earlier movies.
Yeah, no, you're right.
It was kind of a mansion on the hill. Oh, okay.
Well, and also it was like, it's like. Yeah, this is my castle. It's our. We run a business,
right?
And this just happens to be the family castle. It wasn't. It wasn't very castle-y.
No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
This had a good horror element though, because 2 girls with a stranger in the woods. They go to the strange fortune teller guy.
Right.
And then the girl leaves her friend with the weird fortune teller guy to go off with a stranger in the forest.
There was something about that was
horrible things that could happen to everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Did you not think the drunk people kind of were out of place? Like the older...
At the party?
Older drunk ladies that were... I think it was in the... Yeah, it was...
or were they in the street?
Yeah, they were in the street.
Right. No, I remember that.
They seemed to be out of place to me.
They did. And you know what? The thing that I really noticed about the film that was really super, super apparent is that absolutely everybody was a better actor than the lead.
Absolutely.
I mean, way better. I mean, he didn't seem...
and you had Bela Lugosi standing by.
Right there.
The montage, it was kind of surreal montage. That was probably my favorite part.
Yeah, but it was terrible.
I know, but it was my favorite part.
It was a terrible montage.
I think I liked it because it was so bad.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what I wrote.
I like how they threw in all the elements. They were going to throw everything in this montage.
Yeah.
So I think it was more of a thinking movie. It was just kind of like, oh, let's think about what happens when he turns into a creature and it's psychological and blah, blah, blah. It wasn't scary.
I like that. There was one character that used the line that there's something tragic about the way that guy looks.
Right.
Tragic. All right. Oh, and also I like the way that the music, the music that's the soundtrack for the, was obviously just kind of melded and became the music of the of the gypsy band.
Yeah.
I was like, and I remember really distinctly looking at it, going, "Well, there's nobody out there playing the piano."
Right. Yeah.
Piano and full orchestra. I go, yeah, that's a hell of a gypsy band.
I found interesting trivia about the fog. Evelyn Akers.
Mm-hmm.
Evelyn Ankers. That's her name, right?
Right.
Yeah. She said that during the final confrontation where they were fighting, Lon Chaney and Claude Rains were fighting.
Yeah.
They said that the low-hanging fog, she was supposed to like pass out. She fainted.
Right.
And she was supposed to lay there through the rest of the scene. And she actually passed out.
So dangerous, yeah.
She actually passed out from the chemicals.
Right.
And apparently they didn't notice until the crew was moving cameras around and they noticed she was still laying on the ground and they had to revive her.
Dry ice. Whenever we used dry ice, we would also always have a spotter to see if somebody went down either intentionally or accidentally, went down far enough to get into the fog, because what it's doing is displacing oxygen.
Yeah.
So it looks, just like fog, but it's not, because you cannot breathe in it at all.
Right.
So we would always, whenever we did that low-lying fog, we would have somebody that's their only job was just to stand there. And this is from a special effects point of view, because that was always our job. And we would always be in charge of safety for our own work.
Right.
And so we would always have somebody and say, this is our designated safety officer for dry, because dry ice can be really oddly dangerous, because you don't, it's like a really, really potent drink that doesn't taste it at all.
Right.
So all of a sudden you just, whoa.
Yeah. Well, some of the fog was smoke, I think, at least in the forest.
In the forest, that was smoke. But there was a couple of scenes there where it was the low-lying fog. Yeah. Right. And I mean, those are basically done with huge carbon dioxide tanks or...
there was a ton of fog in the...
nitrogen tanks.
In some of the scenes.
Yeah, there was fog everywhere. But another thing is all those outdoor scenes were done on a stage, so you need to not look that far. Yeah. Although Universal did have the hugest stage.
So it's unfortunate that they had her pass out in the scene and then lay there for the rest of the scene.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's it comes one of those things that you learn is as you go on and you use it, an inexperienced special effects person. Because that's dangerous stuff. You were talking about the montage, and I wrote that was the cheesiest montage I have ever seen.
I just liked how they threw everything into the montage.
It was like kitchen sink kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's what was great about it.
The other weird thing about it was that it was. There was something about it where it's like the whole action of the film was in the last quarter.
Yeah.
Quarter of the film. Yeah. And it just boom, 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 boom.
Let's wrap it up.
Let's wrap it up. Let's wrap it up, guys.
I had the same thought, too.
Yeah, in the footprints. The footprints were just terrible.
Well, when he turned into the wolf and the footprints walking,
right?
He was on his toes,
right?
I don't know that.
Oh yeah, no, it was terrible.
Rough.
It was well, and yeah, it wasn't impressive to me all the way through. I did want to bring up something about the difference between science and superstition. That the fight of an awful lot of these early horror films, Frankenstein, is science. Frankenstein, Dracula, the Wolfman. It's all got this, science versus superstition.
Right, yeah.
And superstition is going to come back and bite your ass.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You can believe in science as much as you want.
Or science and religion, too. I mean, superstition and religion are kind of different things. But this was kind of superstition because it had
this was superstition.
The gypsy
and Dracula was a little bit more religious and based. And Frank. The funny thing is that was such a moral dilemma at the time because we were coming out of a long period of, there was a certain magical thinking thing that went on, when you're talking about the 1600s, witches are everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, they in the way people think, witches do exist. I mean, there's so many things that actually are this way. And as we're coming out of that and technology is starting to take off, and we have this thing that's called a motion picture and Hollywood, and we're going back and we're revisiting.
Yeah. Stories,
which is, an important point at, the first half of the 1900s.
Yep.
So there. In general, by the totally weak performance of a man who was totally weak, that became the Wolfman, I said to myself, the guy is a tool, right?
Yeah.
Now, I wanted to talk about something here. There is a special effects man. His name is Thomas Bellissimo.
Wow. His picture on IMDb is amazing.
Yes, it is. Tales from the Dark Side. Ooh. The Hidden. Quite cool. I might add Nightmare on Elm Street 3. Nightmare on Elm Street 4. This was a friend of mine that on Nightmare on Elm Street 3, he built bones for me.
Oh, really?
Right?
Yeah.
Him. There's pictures of him with a friend of mine.
Yeah. I think I've seen those pictures.
Brian Moore. You've seen those pictures,
yeah.
right? Okay.
Well, they're in the book.
Right. He was on Nightmare on Elm Street 3 with me, and he comes up about halfway through, and he built all the bones, and I was about ready to put him back out with the rest of the crew, and he comes up and he says, "Look, I have an offer from a show called Lycanthrope," means werewolf.
Werewolf, okay.
Right? So he did a werewolf show, and I guess later on it became called Werewolf.
Okay.
Werewolf, Lycanthrope was the Lycanthrope was the company.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And he says, I'm up to do the special effects, to be the coordinator. I said, really? Okay, well.
Well, that was TV too, right? So it was a pay raise, right?
Right. It was a pay raise. He had a kid on the way.
Yeah.
And and he says, how can you help me out? And I said, well, you got the molding processes down. We used to work together on Tales from the Dark Side, and he did special effects for me, and so what we worked out is I got a cellular phone that was just for him. And he and I would call each other, and I would say, "Here's what you got to do: if you're in a movie, if you're in the middle of a meeting, right? Just gonna go, and they ask you how you're gonna do something. You say, well, I really need to think about it, and then get to the side, and if it's rigging, get to the side, and give me a call, and we'll discuss it."
Huh.
And we did. For his first year working werewolf.
So you should have been credited as an assistant.
I wanted him to succeed.
No, that's good. Well, you worked with him later on Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3.
Right, as a matter of fact. Yeah. And he worked on Nightmare on Elm Street 4, too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, and he was a great friend. But I started him out, and the funny thing is that he called me almost immediately after, and he says, "Listen, I need to know how to crush the roof of a VW." I was like, "Okay, here's what we're going to do. What you're going to do is you're going to get some rolled lead, and you'll cut out the top of the bug where it's going to have to be dented in, and very carefully, without destroying the headliner,
right,
you're going to lift that top out, and you're going to take a piece of this lead, thin, like it's a lead foil almost, put it on the top that you cut off of there, and pound it until it's flat on that top, and then cut it out, add yourself about an inch all the way around, put glue on that, and then glue that back onto the top, and then repaint the whole top. And that's what he did. And the werewolf comes along and goes, "Jah!" and pounds on the car.
Wow.
And I still remember to this day that was his first gag that we worked out on the phone.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, he also worked on one of my favorite Christian Slater movies, Pump Up the Volume.
Well, there you go. That's right. Another New Line Cinema.
Far out, man.
In Suburban Commando, I worked with him on it. Oddly enough.
Oh, and Tales from the Crypt. There you go. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's had quite a career, it looks like, since
Oh, yeah.
And he's still working, and he's doing some awesome stuff.
Yeah, and he's worked with Tarantino.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was Tarantino's guy for a while.
He's doing a lot of TV now.
Yeah. Yeah, but I just recently sent a book his way. And so life is good.
Yeah.
Good for him. So good for him.
Yes.
So he did werewolf stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So now we've judged this. Have we judged this turkey.
And if he ever wants to review, let's see, what movie?
Oh,
Far Out Man with us. No. Okay. He's welcome.
He's welcome.
Anyway.
Right. So what did you think?
Well, coming off of Frankenstein and Dracula,
right, which were very good films.
I was pretty disappointed.
Yeah, I was.
This is no Invisible Man either, or
no. I would give this a 2.8 at best, and I don't even know why I'm doing that.
Yeah,
because
I'm kind of at a 2.
Yeah, I can understand that.
I'm pretty disappointed.
I can understand. I was really disappointed.
I mean, the wolf isn't really in the movie either. He's like hardly in there.
Yeah, and
creature.
There's no great changeover, and he isn't particularly scary. He just looks like,
it's like the makeup on Teen Wolf.
It was very close to the makeup on Teen Wolf. Very close.
Right.
It's like nothing that a good shave wouldn't take care of. Yeah, that's about where I am at with wolves, as it were.
Yep, me too. I got to see this 1935 movie.
Yeah. We will get back to you on that one. I
forgot the title of it.
Okay.
Oh, well, anyway. I'll go find it.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us on the Dream Warrior Review podcast. Don't forget to tell your friends about us, follow us, and, of course, like us. We can be found on Podbean, which is an amazing app, YouTube, Stitcher, Alexa on any pod, iTunes, Google Play. We're on Twitter as well, at DW Review, and, of course, Facebook. You can find us there. You can also email us at dreamwarriorreview@gmail.com.